Hello, everybody. This is Joel, aka Bourbon Dingo, and welcome to episode 4 of my Let's Play Crusader Kings 2. Alright, in the previous episode, we basically did a whole lot of hunting. We're still waiting for things to happen. We passed by about 3 years. We married off a few daughters. As you can see, we may have set up a few alliances that'll come in handy later. We jump out to diplomatic relations, and you can see that the King of England, we've actually allied ourselves with him. And we've also allied ourselves with quite a few members of the King of Galicia, Castile, and Leon. But beyond that, I guess it's just a waiting game. Let's see what other trouble we can get into. Let's go ahead and jump this up a little bit and keep it going. As you can see, England is still being fought over. King Harold of Godwin is not doing so hot. Okay. Another niece wants to get married off, and she's fairly decent between intrigue and learning. She's paranoid, ambitious, shy, and brave. Well, like all the other ones, let's go ahead and see who we can attach her to. We can marry her off to a baron. Apparently we can also marry her off to my son. I'm not sure I want to do that. But actually, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and marry her off to a Welshman. In fact, Riddick Ilof, who's the Marshal of Glamorgan, which should be the second place we actually go after. We'll go ahead and keep her close. Attach her to another ambitious husband as well. As you can see, we gain a little bit of, she gains a little bit of prestige, and quite a bit of prestige for marrying a courtier. For some reason, I'm not quite sure. Alright, we'll send that one off. Just let her know that we're finding her someone nice. And she heads off to the county of Glamorgan. If we do end up succeeding in taking it, I'm wondering if she'll actually still be within our court, or what will happen with that. Alright. Knowledge of farming and prowess has increased. We're still waiting for this to get up to 100. My wife is pregnant. Okay. Dial back a little bit here. As we can see, today my son Rarid has asked for his own fief to govern. Fief, however. I can promise to arrange it. I can mention a church career, which would take him out of succession if I actually managed it. Or I can tell him he's not ready. I don't really have land or any titles to give away, so I'm going to let him know that he's not ready. However, what just happened here was that the Kingdom of Norway actually won his invasion into it, and that's disappointing unless we luck out and there's a heavy revolt that occurs within Norway, because this usually makes Norway exceptionally powerful. I can actually sort of hope that maybe now that Duke William of Normandy does his thing, takes it over. He did just jump from, if you see inside the tooltip there, he did just jump from having a 16 war score in favor of Norway to a 2% war score in favor of Norway. So he does appear to be making some headway, and that's what we can hope for, is that he actually ends up taking it over. Sorry, I had to check my clock right there. Once again, I have forgotten to set my timer. We'll do that while we wait for something to occur. Appears to be very little going on. In fact, there was absolutely, I don't think anything of the getting asked one time happened between this birth and that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and set my alarm so that I can keep the time right on this one. But we do appear to have a daughter named Elwood. And that's always nice. Okay, I got that taken care of. Alright, and as we can go, we can jump back out here and see she's far back in the list. She wasn't born with any congenital traits, so she's normal until she starts getting trained. Starts off with a low prestige. Alright, we have achieved our 100 gold. So what we're going to do now is give us a quick pause. Before I actually take a look at the alerts that just popped up, we're going to go ahead and pop into here. And I said our next goal was building a castle village, and that's because building the castle village will increase our tax revenue, which means we'll get more money, which means that we can start building faster. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. And let's take a look up here. We have a grandson who currently needs to be educated. That's what this dial was, that he lacks a guardian. There are a few things you're looking for when you pick a guardian. Now, while we would want, and I don't think he's in line for succession. Let's make sure of that real fast. No, this is the fourth son's first son. And what we may end up doing with him is, well, I'll explain guardianship first. For guardianship, it's not just as simple as picking any random person. You do get a bonus for applying guardianship, so it's a good way to build up diplomacy if you're not absolutely worried about how the child is going to turn out. The deal with setting up a guardianship is that if you do not choose yourself as a guardian, any of the events that pop up to gain traits are based more on what the traits are of the person who's the guardian. In looking here, let's go ahead and skip down real fast, and we're going to talk about this first. If I were to say set his father as his guardian, there's a higher chance that by the time he is... There's a chance that a few things may happen. First off, there's a likelihood he could come away with gluttonous. There's also a likelihood he could come away with envious. He's also likely to... he's more likely to have just or gregarious as stats, as traits. His stats are also going to likely follow the same sort of bonuses levels you see here. He's likely going to have a higher martial stat than anything else. This is also in conjunction with the fact that this is his education stat. Whoever you choose to educate the child, their education trait is what's most likely going to be the education trait of the child. it'll be around the same level as well. So a level 4 brilliant strategist is likely to give the child a level 3 martial education trait, or a level, or this specific education trait. The second thing to consider is that based on who you allow him to be tutored by, they have a chance of actually adopting their culture instead of retaining the one they have. Currently, his culture is Welsh. If we were to set them, however, with Elgifu here, he would, after a while, gain the Saxon culture. Now, there are a few modifiers to whether or not they'll gain a culture from someone, but it's all based on years. I believe the average, if everything is completely average, they'll change culture after about, I believe it's 8 years of being trained, maybe 6 years of being trained. If the person training them is gregarious, or I believe there's one other trait that makes it more likely that they'll be, or gregarious, or I can't remember what the other trait is. But if they're gregarious, that cuts the amount of time it takes for him to become that culture. If they're shy, it increases the amount of time it takes to become that culture. Religion follows the same idea as well. If your child is tutored by someone who is not of his religion, there's a likelihood that he will become of the religion of the person that is guarding him, that's teaching him. One of the problems that this can happen is, especially if it's your heir, when he takes over, he'll have a different culture than the base culture of the area you're ruling, which will increase revolt risks. It gets even higher whenever you start looking at different types of religions. Religions also play a good part in whether or not you become a whipping boy of those around you. If you're not super large and you change religion, anyone can call holy wars on you. They can easily eat up your area, and it's good to stay Catholic unless you're ready and willing to defend yourself. But what we're going to do, because he is a fourth son's heir, and there's at least 3 sons with sons in front of him, I'm not going to worry too heavily about what culture he ends up being. What I'm going to do, in fact, is let Elgifa train him, because I want him to get that high diplomacy skill. I'm not very happy that she only has a level 1 education skill, but he may be able to get level 2 from it. So what we're going to do is we're still going to have that. So he'll probably end up being Saxon culture, but that's not necessarily a horrible thing, because I doubt he'll rule anything. We're going to go ahead and send him off and get started again. As you can see, we still have the succession loss up there. We're going to need to get to somewhere around 1076 before we can take care of that. So once again, we're going to dismiss that. And we're back to waiting again. Over here, if you look at our domain, and you can see that once we gained a new area, it popped up the name of the castle within that area, which is the county capital. And I'll talk about this here in one second. Also, once we started building something, the hammer symbol came up, and to the right of it is a bar that's filling up as we get closer and closer to finishing what we build. As you hover over, you can tell that it says that we're going to finish on the 18th of December in 1070. So at the end of this year, we'll finish up. Alright, coming back over here, we have had a successful improve religious relationships come up. My liege, my mission to Powys has so far been a success. During my visit to the court of Bishop Kaid of Llangollen, I have managed to make him understand what a benevolent and pious ruler you really are, and he sends his regards. This is good, because since we just kicked Bishop Kaid out of his spot, we sent the new guy over there to talk to him, and I'm sure that made him happy. But you come down here into the bishop Rick that he is in control of. You click on that symbol right there, it'll pop this up and it'll allow you to see a few of these things around here. But we can see that his opinion of us has jumped up to 59. Now, one of the things we can do here while we're waiting on something else to happen is we go into ours, take a look at our vassals, and these are all the people that have holdings beneath us. We go and we find him, and we'll take a look here in 1 second at that. We go and we find him, Bishop of Lanway, and you can see that he's not currently paying us any tax, and that's because his current opinion of the Pope is 100. And that's because they're both zealous. And that's going to be hard to beat. His opinion of us is 76. If this opinion was higher than this opinion, we would be receiving tax from him. So what we're going to be doing actually is we're going to be sending our bishop to go talk to where the bishopric of there is. Because if he can jump us up there, we'll start getting taxes from him. Our son and our daughter-in-law, that's our third son, I believe, just had a son. Okay. Well, yeah, it was our third son. His wife had no congenital traits, so they didn't pass anything along. Named Tagonwe. So, our little area of Wales over here isn't going to have any problem whatsoever having a large bloodline, at least to begin with. Let's take a quick look. We're actually eligible to hold a summer fair, so we're going to do that. Use up a little bit of our money. We can hold a summer fair because of the time of the year it is. I have given an order that a summer fair should be held in Gwynedd this summer. This should make the peasants happy. And we'll continue on. They'll start giving us some events for this. Even if the church frowns upon jugglers and calls them gleemen, I enjoy their humorous and bawdy acts during the summer fair. Okay. One of them can juggle 9 apples at the same time. This would be a gain of 10 prestige, but a loss of 10 piety. The church does not like fun things. Duke Bledden of Gwynedd gets unfunny church until 7 August 1070, so for about 2 months, I'll get slight malice to church opinion, and I'll lose piety for each month. If the priest says anything, apparently this will make Bishop Elid like me less. If the church doesn't like it, should I really like it? This would make Bishop Elid like me more. Now looking over here, we can see that I'm a dutiful cleric, so there's something about, the dutiful cleric is learned and possessed of beautiful penmanship, but lacks particular interest in theology. Not really that interested in theology. I am, however, lustful, and that means that I probably like some of these more bawdy things that he's throwing out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to give up our little bonus, give up a little piety and gain some prestige. I like jugglers. Take that, church. Its ragged fur and sorrowful eyes made the bear look pitiful, but when its trainer started playing its flute, the bear started dancing. The dancing bear and his trainer traveled from fair to fair, and this year they came to the summer fair in Gwynedd. I wonder how he does that. Idwal, my nephew, who's apparently with me at the fair, likes that I ask that question. His opinion of me goes up a little bit. Keep him on a short leash. Duke Bledden of Gwynedd gets suspicious until September. When gaining 1 prestige until September. And training a bear can't be that hard. And my nephew likes me a little bit less for that. We take a look. I'm a hunter. Kind. Nothing here is really saying that any of these should be specific, so we'll just make our nephew like us a little bit more. And wonder how he trains the bear. Alright, our next goal with our money is going to be saving it up until 50 so that we can go ahead and build a wooden palisade and palace. The peddlers are loading their wares and the merchants are taking down their stalls. The jugglers, strolling players, and the other entertainers are preparing to leave. The summer fair is over for this year. It was great fun while it lasted. I gained about 15 prestige. So really what we're waiting on currently, like I said, the 50 gold to go ahead and build the palisade in the county of Powys. We're still waiting on my Chancellor Peer, to fabricate a claim in Gwent. Beyond that, it appears that there is no war going on here anymore. Or actually there is. There's just no place currently conquered. Appears that Norway is likely going to be keeping this area. That'll make our life a little bit harder, but like I said, we can hope for some revolts to occur throughout there. Maybe keep them a little bit weaker in England, that way they don't focus on trying to conquer us. Alright, my castle village has been built, and we've jumped up from about 6 intacts from Aberfraw up to about 8.5. Our balance has jumped from, you remember where we started at about 1 to about 2.86, so that's good. We'll be gaining money about twice as fast. I'm starting to think that Elgife might fancy me. Alright, so my daughter-in-law, the one that I've married off to my heir, I'm apparently very attracted to her. Because I'm lustful, I don't have a choice to not go to her chamber. So, I'm going to go make a move on my daughter-in-law. I went to Lady Elgife's chamber and gave her a good tumble. It's good to be the Duke. And I'm going to fall in love with my daughter-in-law. Good old Duke Bledin. Yep, that's lustful. Here's hoping my wife doesn't find out. Better yet, here's hoping my heir doesn't find out. My liege, since I arrived in Gwynedd, there's never been a shortage of soldiers reinforcing the troops stationed there. Under our guidance, they believe that fame and fortune awaits them. Your humble marshal, Madog Matherfall. Basically, the levies reinforce faster while this is going on. However, since I didn't have to go into combat in that beginning one, he's been sitting there, and we'll take a look here at this in 1 second. He's been sitting there reinforcing troops, which I haven't needed him to do that. We're going to go ahead and swap him over and start researching military tech in my capital. Okay. Now, what just popped up was my spy master. My liege, the people of Leinster, just right there, have progressed beyond our own technological level. I've managed to study their advancements, and the documents enclosed here should help us reach that level. I hope you will find this to your satisfaction. And we've just learned a little bit about cavalry melee weapons. We go take a look real fast. You can see that we haven't jumped up any in our actual knowledge of it, but we're getting closer to the next tier. Okay, this is something worth looking at. The most recent pope has died, and the reason this is worth looking at is because all of our Religious heads were basically in love with the Pope, as he was. As you can see, there's a lot of green floating around in that. So he was a well-loved Pope. And he died of severe stress at the age of 52. However, we have a new Pope, and he doesn't have nearly as much green. And he's depressed. Apparently, he didn't want to become Pope. He wanted to be a hunter. Oh well. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what he thinks of us. He likes us because we're both hunters. That's good. The new Pope's an aspiring hunter. What we're going to do is now look at our vassals. And as you can see, the bishop now likes us more, so we're getting money from him. This bishop now likes us more. We're getting money from him. This is the only one that doesn't, and he is currently the one we're working on trying to get to like us more. And this is good because this should jump our monthly balance up a little bit, and as we move on into a new month, I believe it'll update and show us a slight increase in our monthly balance. Yeah, we've jumped up to 3.5. It's quite a bit, especially this early. Alright. And our trusting spy master is at it again. He sent us some documents about the church infrastructure in Leinster. You know, for a trusting spy master, he's doing pretty good. All right, we're getting closer to that 59, or 50. And we've hit that. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a wooden palisade. Now, if we were to actually fabricate a claim anytime soon, fabricating claims, you actually have to spend money and prestige in fabricating the claim. We could spend the money right now and go in debt, and that would make people like us a little bit less until we could build up our money towards it. But we're hoping that we can build up a little bit before it comes up. And we did just have something pop up here. And what we just had pop up is that we now have a claim on Dehubarth, which is the duchy right here. It's not going to be worth us actually pushing that claim. And he just succeeded in making him like us more, so we'll probably make some more money up here soon. We're not going to be pushing it, but we could put on the throne of, well, the duchy, any of these three people. And they got it through, when the previous one died, that meant that these probably became pretenders to the duchy. And we could put any of them on the throne of the duchy that we wanted to. Now, none of them are specifically our vassals. They're all just members of our court, which meant that if we were to actually put them on the throne, all that would do is turn this into a, it would turn it into basically what it is now, but with somebody that likes us more on the throne. I am going to actually not do that. We're going to go ahead and just let that sit. There is one possibility, and that would be marrying off one of our heirs or one of our children onto it. Or one of our heirs' children to one of the people we were pressing. And then in the future, as members of as characters I'm controlling start dying off, we might actually move into an inheritance of it. Okay, we just had King Malcolm die of a natural death, and this is about the earliest I've ever seen King Malcolm die. It's also about the worst of a character I've ever seen King Malcolm be. What that does for us is he had already had a child that wasn't one of our heirs. let us check real fast before we let go if we can invite her back into our kingdom. We can. Let's do that. And they just had King Duncan II at age 12 was taking the throne, and he currently has a regent. And the next heir isn't one of ours. In fact, he's only had a granddaughter. One of our granddaughters. So we're going to get her back most likely. And that'll probably throw this into some turmoil for a while. But she came back, and she also brought Malmor Dunkeld with her. Alright, and we just got one of our nicknames. And as you can see, we're known as Duke Bloodon I, the Hunter. And at this point, it fits. In fact, let's go ahead and take a quick look and see if we have any. We can hold another summer fair. I believe we're going to go ahead and do that. And what we're going to do at this point is save up to put a palisade in Perfidwad. The local nobles of Gwynedd complain about too many peasants entering the city during the summer fair. I can tell them to accept the peasants, and this would most likely make the mayor not like me as much, or I can restrict the peasants and cause a local revolt risk. In this instance, I'm kind. Yeah, I'm kind. I would let the peasants in. The summer fair's archery contest went very well. The clout and the space around it was filled with arrows. Some of them had hit the bullseye, some of them had missed the clout altogether. The winner was a modest man who disappeared rather quickly after he collected his prize. I could say that is suspicious and gained the trait paranoid. So he was a good archer, a good poacher as well, I think. I get cynical and gain a +1 intrigue, a +1 diplomacy, but everybody doesn't like me for a few months. Marshal, find and arrest that man. I gain a 10 prestige, but I upset the peasants, giving me a 1.5% revolt risk for a full year. And good archer, that man. I can increase Mayor Murg's opinion of me and lose gold. Mayor Murg should be the one that dislikes me a little bit for what I just did in letting the peasants come in. But I believe I'm going to go ahead and lose this gold and re-increase his opinion of me. As you can see, he's angry with me about letting the peasants in, but he approves of my charity whenever I gave the money to the man and let him go. An errant monk is disturbing the summer fair by preaching about sins in the end of the world. His drivel is frightening some, but most of the crowd around him are mocking and laughing at him. I can say that he is just another part of the entertainment, and lose 5 piety, and Bishop Kai is upset by him, or I can kick him out. He's frightening people. I would probably end up kicking him out. Yeah, I'll take the local revolt risk. When the alderman asked for the permission for the summer fair, I could have never guessed I would regret that. After a pie-powder court held in front of my own bailiff, they sentenced one of my vassals to being drawn in a tumbler across the square. I can't believe their impudence. This would make Mayor Idwal of Radnor dislike me, or they will regret this, and that would make him like me more. I'm kind, I really can't believe they would do this. So I believe they're going to regret this. Alright, my heir's had a daughter, his first. He's had 2 sons and a daughter, named Winfrey. As you can see, the son was born to King Malcolm III in Hunted. Ah, she was pregnant whenever I pulled her back. So I have just added a son of the King of Scotland to my court. Real fast before we take a look at him. As you can see, her opinion of me and my opinion of her are both 100, and that's because we both have the lover trait. Back off. Alright, let's take a look at him. He is in my court, and he has a weak claim on the Kingdom of Scotland. This could be exceptionally useful. If I keep him around, I could possibly use him to claim the Kingdom of Scotland. He likes me, but I don't like him that much. He has a diplomacy of 0. He's just been bored. And he's not of my dynasty, so... Alright. Today my son Meredith asked me for a fief of his own to govern. I don't have anything to give anyone, so I'm going to tell him he's not ready as well. He'll dislike me a little bit for it, but he'll dislike me a lot here in a bit whenever I finally change succession law to primogeniture. The peddlers are loading their wares. This is the end of the summer fair. I gained 15 prestige. Alright, the wooden palisade has been built. So we're going to go ahead, like I said, and save up to the next wooden palisade. Alright, and what I'm going to do is, we've probably been recording for a little bit over time here. We're going to go ahead and let this continue on until the 1st of the year. Let him know that he isn't ready either. Let this continue on into the 1st of the year, and we're going to call the recording closed at that point. Sooner or later, I'll start remembering to actually set my timers, and we'll try to keep these a little bit closer to 30 minutes at a time. Once again, I still haven't gotten a claim on the county here. Okay. Dear Father, so I just found out from my 3rd son that my 2nd son, my dog Matherfall, is attempting to kill my 1st son. Wow. So what we can do with this is we can actually imprison my son if I wish, which I don't. He's a really good marshal. But he really, really likes us. And because he really, really likes us, we can go down here and we can just ask him to end the plot. Don't kill your brother. And for not killing your brother, I'll name you the Master of the Horse. No, you did just try to kill my brother. We will do one thing real fast before the year ends. He wants to get married. And so we're going to go ahead and, instead of rewarding him with a title, I'm going to go ahead and find him someone to marry. We have a couple people within our court that we could marry him off to, and I'm actually considering doing that instead of marrying him outside the court. We're going to go ahead and marry him off to... I guess the only courtier I have that isn't attached. We're going to marry him off to Morgana. Okay, and our heir, our 2nd heir, the one that's actually passed if we die and when he gains, just came of age. He has a Midas touch, which is the level 4 of the stewardship bonus. So he has a good stewardship, a decent martial. He's paranoid, zealous, brave, wroth, kind. He's not superbly exceptional, but he's not bad. He's gone ahead and he's become a Midas touch. What we're going to do is we're going to actually marry him off real fast. This way we can be absolutely certain that he gets married to a good wife, and we can possibly have some good children in the future. What we're going to do is we're going to look for any women who are not in prison, not married, of our religion. We're going to search all. We're going to go ahead and find him a good diplomatic wife. And once again, I don't know what it is with Genius and Impalers, but there it is again. Attractive. Norman. Take a quick glance. Check real fast. Separating by rank. Seeing if there's anybody we can grab throughout here that looks worthwhile. Trying to find somebody a little bit closer to his age. They can be a bit younger, a bit older. We might do this one. This one has a better... Actually comes from a great house. He's an Occitan Saint Gaudin. Proud, zealous, honest, kind, charitable. Level 3. Those. And is of the right religion. Actually, what it looks like I'm about to do... No, we have a genius there who's not an impaler. And those are decent stats across the board. Let's go ahead and pop back up one more time. Sort by this. Take a quick glance. I think I'm going to go ahead and marry off to her. Once again, it's another marriage of a lowborn into the dynasty, but it's not too bad. She's 22, a little bit older than him, but they'll still have a few children. Alright, we sent that off. I'm going to go ahead and call it quits right now. We're on 1073, which means we moved ahead about 3 years currently. And we've been playing for about 7, so the percentage chance that I actually pull a fabricated claim hasn't happened yet. Law of averages, I think, should say that it could happen within the next couple years. And I hope it does, because otherwise we're just going to be kind of bored. What may end up happening if I don't get this sometime early in the next episode is I'll press the claim for somebody else in Dyfed, at least just so you can see what combat looks like. And then put somebody on the throne that likes me. But I guess that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you during the very next episode.